In every trade you take, you're going to have some good stuff you did and some bad stuff you did. And then what you want to do on here, you want to track the good and repeat, and you want to track the bad and improve. Hey everyone, Carlos here with Variable Traders. In this podcast, Reflection and Review, we're going to talk about some ideas that you can apply to your day trading journal and some ways you can actually go back and reflect and review some of the trades you did. Hope you enjoyed the podcast and see you guys in the chat room soon. So in this podcast, I want to get into a trading journal, and we'll talk about things we can track in our journal. Journal formats, what are some of the methods you can use to track your journal? And also we'll get into reflection and review, some systematic ways of being able to track your journal, and also how to go back and reflect on it and review it. It's a very important thing that most traders do not do well. They'll track a lot of information, but they don't have that reflection and review process. And I want to share some ideas with you that can probably help you out do that more effectively. So let's get right into it. Trading journal is probably the biggest chunk of this whole process, right? Being able to reflect and review. You have to have a trading journal that has the information you need to be able to track how you can improve things down the line. So here's some of the information that I have listed down that you should track. I have about 5. One of them is physical and mental health, changes, strategy and plan, chart pattern, and well done and improvement notes. And we'll get into each individual one of those and go over how these all link up together. So physical and mental state of mind is something that you really have to write down every trading morning, really. Every trading morning is different. We as human beings have situations where, we might not be in the right state of mind physically or mentally to just trade that morning. And you want to write that down. And again, not everything is as big as, I cannot trade today. It could be something simple that can just take you out of your game, out of your zone. Because as we know, trading is something that is very stressful, very difficult. It requires 100% focus to be able to execute these trades correctly without having any type of outside influence that's going to impact the way you're executing your trades. So are you in a good state to trade today? And this is kind of like your self-analysis, right? So every morning you can open up your journal, and on there you're going to have an intro. You're going to have an intro area where you're going to write down how you feel physically and mentally. On the physical side, you're going to write down things as simple as, did I get enough sleep today? Maybe I feel tired because of lack of sleep. Do I have a headache? Maybe I didn't get a chance to go into my morning routine because I did not wake up on time. These are all things that affect our physical state, right? So you want to write these down and keep a track of it, because then later on down the line, you can go back and say, on this day, I felt a certain way and I didn't do well. This day I feel that certain way now. I probably should skip on trading today, or maybe decrease my size or take less risk, right? So these are things you want to track, because your physical well-being does affect your mental well-being. Then on the mental side, you want to track down, do you feel confident about trading this morning? Are you upset from having several days of losses? That can also play with your mentality about trading this day, right? And other things could be, you can get personal in this situation too. This is your journal, so you can write down, are you upset about any kind of disagreement with your significant other, or anything that can put your mind out of focus for what you need to accomplish in your trading morning, your trading day. So you want to track that down. This will help you self-analyze yourself, kind of like self-awareness on where you are with your trading. Again, important to track these things down also before you start your trading day. And I'll give you an example why. You want to go into this with an unbiased self-check and state of mind. And what I mean by that is, if you're feeling not confident, if you're feeling down, or if you're physically tired, or you have a headache, whatever the case may be, if you have a winning day, it just blows that stuff out of the water. You know what I'm saying? What it'll do is, that won't matter because you had a winning day, so everything feels great in regards to your journal. So when you go back to track, your intro and track your state and physical well-being, these things could be changed now based on your current situation, the current feeling of having a great winning day. So important to track this thing every morning before you start your trading process. Next, we have changes. Changes is something that you want to track on the day you made them. Something could be like maybe a position size. Maybe you increase your size. You're starting to feel more confident in your trading, and now you want to make your size slightly higher. You want to make that note on your intro. You also intro of your journal. You also want to track down platform changes, right? If you change your layout, put that on there. If you're now hiding your P&L on your platform, where before you were showing it, you want to also put that on there. Other changes could be hotkey changes, right? If you are if you went from inputting your keys into the montage now to using hotkeys on either a gamepad or a Stream Deck pad, if you made that change, you want to put that on there. Maybe that can decrease the number of hotkey errors you're having, or if it increases it, you want to go back to what you're using before. And track the small stuff. If you got a new desk, if you got a new chair, maybe that chair is magical, you don't want nobody else sitting on it, things like that. Just track things that have to be are involved in your trading that can impact your trading later on in the future, positively or negatively. Changes can also be good for bad, as we know, right? So either way, you want to know. If you made a change that works, you want to know what that is, so you keep doing it. And if you made a change that's not working as you planned, you want to find another alternative or adjust back to what you were doing before that could have been working better. Next up, we have strategy and plan. And for this one and the two more that are following, chart pattern and well done improvement notes, you want to track these for every single individual trade that you take. So the first thing is strategy, right? What pattern did you identify? Was it an opening range breakup, a ABCD pattern, or a reversal? These are critical to identify at the time you're taking that trade. So then later on, you can go back in your journal and say, okay, identify an opening range pattern, ABCD pattern, what triggered you to take that trade? And you want to identify this when you're getting into your trade, because if you don't identify the strategy when you take that trade, later on when you go back and look at your chart, that chart could look like an ABCD pattern, but what you identified that triggered you to take this trade could have been an opening range breakup, which is okay. Some opening range breakups do turn into an ABCD pattern in the mid-morning, can also turn into a reversal later on today. So things like that could happen, but write down what you identify when you took that specific trade. This can help you, again, track your performance, right? You want to track what you're most successful at and what you're not most successful at. So if you're good at opening range breakouts, breakdowns, you want to continue to look for these opportunities and take those trades when you find them, opposed to if you're not good at reversals, you want to, again, study those more, or maybe take less shares or practice those in simulation before you start taking them in real life, until you can improve your entries and execution of that strategy. Also, walk through your plan, right? Have a small, a very brief but detailed trade explanation on what you did. So, you got in on this entry. What triggered you to take that entry? When you got in, you had your stop loss set at this area, moving averages, VWAP, whatever you're using to calculate your risk and reward. Make sure you note that on there, so then you see that you follow your process through, and that this trade was executed the way you wanted to. Also, write down a brief description of the stock's profile. And what I mean by the stock's profile, was it a low float, mid float, or large float? How did you identify this stock, right? Did you find it through your gappers list or trade ideas? Was it in the chat room? Or was it another scanners that was the source of you finding this possible opportunity? And also the numbers of shares you took. Did you take a full size or did you take a half size, right? And what was the reason for it? Maybe something this was more volatile, so you took a half size because the ATR was extremely high and the volume was high, and also the risk was higher, so you maybe took a lesser amount of shares. So it's very important to track these things. These are going to help you in the future identify what stocks you trade good. Are you better at mid flow stocks than large and low float? And also be able to find out what is the source of your successful trades, right? They're coming from a gappers list, they're coming from the chat room, or they're coming from any other scanners. So you want to be able to keep that in mind and have that in your journal. Following, we have the chart pattern. Chart pattern is very important. And again, we are, as technical traders, you are visually watching the chart pattern to identify your opportunities, to identify a pattern that has a high probability of working in your favor. So taking a screenshot right from the same platform you are using has a great benefit, because then you can start getting used to identifying these patterns every day in your own platform that you're trading. Same thing we talk about when you're trading simulation, right? There's a huge benefit of taking your simulation time in the platform you're going to use when you go live. It just makes you more comfortable with that platform. You identify where things are at, and you get used to seeing the information in a certain way in a certain area. Same here. Having that visual record of your chart pattern that you traded, showing your entry, your executions of exits, and also your stop loss, the moving averages, the way the chart looks, the patterns, the candles. Having that record of the chart that you're actually trading is going to help you later on as you're trading live and trying to look for these possible opportunities. Next, we have well done and improvement needed notes. And this is by far my favorite information to track. I always tell people, that they say they don't have time to do a detailed journal, or, they're working a job and they're trading as they can in the morning or in the afternoon, then they have to run to their other activities. if there's something that you should track, if you can track everything else, this is by far the one that you have to do, right? And I'll explain why this is so critical. So in every trade you take, you're going to have some good stuff you did and some bad stuff you did. And then what you want to do on here, you want to track the good and repeat, and you want to track the bad and improve. So here's some examples of some well done notes. You identified a pattern, you got into an entry by not hesitating, taking that trade. You stuck to your stop loss and executed it without hesitation or any internal emotional fight. You took profits as planned, right? If a stock went into your direction on the way up, on the way down, whatever side you're playing it, you stuck to your levels of profit taking, and you made those executions, not hesitating to take profits or letting things come back the other way. So on here, you're gonna notice is that these are not based on P&L. These are based strictly on the process, right? Did you do the process well? So you can have a really a trade that's red that didn't go in your way, but you did everything well, and that's the key here, right? We want to focus on the process and not the outcome. Here's some examples, some improvement notes needed, right? You did not set a stop loss, right? Entering a trade, so you could have had a great trade that was green and worked out the way you planned it to, right? The strategy was perfect, your entry was good, but you did not set a stop loss, and that's something that you want to make sure you improve on your next trade. Set that stop loss before entering a trade. Identify your risk to reward. The other one is another example is didn't take profits and you let it come back to my break-even point. Kind of mentioned that on the well done as well, right? You want to make sure that you're following your profit rules. If you have a green trade, take profits, don't let it come back to your break-even point. So that's something you can improve on in the next trade you take. Didn't stop out as planned. Now you're getting out for a bigger or slight bigger loss because you didn't execute your stop loss correctly. And another one also is if you broke any of your rules, right? You have your trading rules, you know what they are. Did you execute them or did you break them? So these notes are very critical to track for every single trade because these are the ones that are going to help you improve your trading in the future. So if there's one thing that you have to track, and maybe you cannot do all of these, if there's one that you have to track, will be the well done and improvement notes for every trade that you take. Now that we have reviewed some of the information you can track in your trading journal, let's look at some of the formats you can use to record this information. The key thing here is going to be you need to find a method that fits your style and gets the job done. I have 3 written here: written, video, and online services, which are all 3 popular ones that people use to track their trading activities. This is my favorite one, and I think everyone starting out should first keep a written journal, and then later on they can move to any other format they feel best fits their needs or their style. But writing really requires you to take a moment to think, be proactive, to note down what exactly took place in this specific trade or this specific situation. And this is the one that requires the most energy, is the most time consuming, but I also believe that plays a part in having this information recorded in your mind. And there are tons of software out there you can use. Microsoft Word. I currently use OneNote from Microsoft. It is a free software and it syncs with all your devices and computers and tablet. I'm able to simply take a screenshot of my chart and plug it on there, and I'm able to keep all the information I need organized as well by date. At the end of this video, I'll show you what my trading journal looks like. So I'll put a brief section going over what I'm tracking and how I'm keeping my journal. Next up, we have the video format. And I think video is a great way to track your trade. You can relive the price action, see what the level 2 information was giving you, and how you interpreted the candles and chart patterns that were forming. This is a great advantage that video format has over any other format. Now, I believe recording your trades cannot be the only thing you do. You need to be able to track some of the information we spoke about earlier, your physical and mental situation for day trading, especially when you're starting out. I think this could be a great addition to your written journal. And you also got to keep in mind that you need to be able to go back and review and reflect on this. So if all you have is videos, there's going to be a lot of time spent looking at every video if you're trying to find a specific trade for that day or specific situation. So unless you have a good systematic way of doing that, this could be also extremely time consuming, and you might not be able to track all the information you need that you can get from a written journal. But it does have its place in recording your trading, because again, seeing that live information can have huge value in being able to catch patterns later in the future. Another trading format that's also very powerful in tracking matrix and also trading notes is some online services that are out there. Something like TraderView. TraderView is a place where you can go in, upload your trades from your platform, and be able to see all the matrix as P&L, any trends, your equity curve. These are all tracked for you automatically. So again, another great tool for you to use. but I also believe it cannot be your only tool. Unless they have some trading notes where you can go in and plug in your trading notes, on your like a daily journal, you can go in and put in personal notes on how you did on that trade. If it has that addition, that can be an excellent tool to use. Also, one of the things that I personally do not like about the online services is that the charts don't look exactly the same as they look in my platform. So I like to keep a record of my 1 minute chart and my 5 minute chart as I see them in my trading platform. It's kind of like, again, I mentioned earlier about simulation. You want to do your simulation in the platform that you're going to trade live, because that's what you want to get used to and accustomed to looking at on your trades. Same thing here. I want to look at my recaps and my trades and my journal. I want to see the chart that I actually traded on my 5 minute charts with my colors, with my bars, with my moving averages. I think that's very important. If your online service allows you to upload a screenshot, then that can also be an amazing tool that can replace a written journal. So what's next? Now that we have all this information from your trading journal that you're tracking, you also have the format you're going to use to track your journal. What is the next step you're going to do here? What are you going to do with all this information you're tracking? And I have a 3-point system, 3 reviews that you can do on a regular basis that can tie in everything together. So starting with a daily review. And this is where the well done and improvement notes become so important, because you want to review this at every day, either at that evening of that trading day or the following morning before you begin your next trading session. You want to go back and review what you did well and what you did poor that can be improved, and then focus on improving those for the following session that you're about to take, whether the next day or that same morning. Make sure that you have in the back of your head, okay, I didn't do these 3 things well. What can I do to improve this into this section I'm going into next? And then from there, you're going to have all these notes from throughout the week, right? And some of them are going to repeat. Some of them are going to be the same over and over again. This is where the weekly comes in. So every week after a trading week, you want to sit down and look at your top 3. Take the top 3 that you've been doing well. Make sure you continue to do those, but then take your top 3 that you need some improvements on and make those your goal for the following week. If you're not stopping out on time, make sure that's something that's on there that you're going to focus on making sure you're following your stop loss rules. The next one is, if you have something that you've been doing well, you're getting into entries, getting a good entry and not hesitating, make sure that's on there. That's something you want to continue to do as you move forward to the following week. And as you see, things will get better and better every time. And the following week, it might be something different. So keep tracking it on a week-by-week basis based on the information you already have for each day. Then the following one you want to do is every month. Every month you want to sit down and then now look at your weekly notes and see the big picture. Where are you seeing some situations where they are repeating themselves over and over again? And then for the following month, you're going to make those your top 3. And you're going to see as time goes on, things change, right? There's some top 3s that are going to become not as important anymore, not as impactful because you're doing them well. And there might be some other areas where you need to put some more focus on to make sure those don't become an issue going forward. And as you keep doing this routine over and over, you start doing things less and less and less on both sides, right? You start doing less mistakes on the weekly, less mistakes on the monthly. Eventually, there's going to be something you have to improve on, and that doesn't go away right away. I've seen a lot of professionals that have years trading that still have a list of things that they want to improve on, but they're successful traders because that list keeps getting smaller and smaller, or at least it's not as bad as it was when they first started. So again, identify what you're doing really well. Make sure it stays that way, and give yourself credit. If you're doing something well, understand that you're doing that very well, because it's going to help your confidence and it'll boost your confidence when you are in a losing streak. So when you're in a losing streak, or you have several days that you haven't done well, this is where you go back and look at, okay, I can do this. I've done it before several times, week in, week out, month in, month out, and that's something that's going to help your confidence to be able to break a losing streak or deal with the losing days. And also identifying what is not working, you can start putting measures in place on how to improve those, and that's very important. If you don't track what you're not doing well, how can you improve it? So one last thing on here that I want to just mention to everyone is that you want to make sure you keep this simple. All right, it has to be simple. If it becomes difficult or complicated, then it's gonna be hard for you to do it consistently. Again, this is like an exercise. The more you do it, the easier it gets and the better you get at it. And also, as your trading career and experience matures and you can slowly start adjusting and making it fit your style, what works for you now might not work for you later on as you are more experienced, maybe At that time, you can only have to do videos. You don't have to maybe do a written or such a detailed journal, because you're kind of getting the gist of it and you can track things better. So this is the Reflection and Review podcast. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you were able to find some ideas that can help you in your trading going forward. Hey everyone, as discussed in this video, I wanted to go over my trading journal format. This is what I use. This software is Microsoft OneNote, and what it does is it allows you to put these tabs so you can track your daily journal. And then what I do is I have a journal home, a report, and I also have it by week. This is actually an actual journal from when I first started. This was my second week going live. I started at the beginning of the year. So on here, as you can see, there's a few sections, 3 sections. I track my intro, my physical, physically how I feel, mentally how I feel, and also just any description that I want for that morning. Then here I had a screenshot of my P&L and things like that, how many trades I took and executions. Then over here is where I'm tracking down the stock, what kind of float it was, where I found the stock from, Gappers List, chat room, or any other scanners. This will be my net P&L. And then here for every trade I will put in trade number 1, it'll be I took it at 9.35. I went long. The strategy that I was looking for, open range breakup, a full position, which was 139 shares. And then I talk a little bit about what the stock walkthrough was, right? So how I saw the stock, what I found in it, how I took it, and how I scaled out and things like that. Then here's the notes that I'm talking about. Really important is, the well done note, what I did great, and then what I could improve on. And then I have a copy of my 1-minute chart, and then below this was the 5-minute chart as well, so I can see my entries that I did, my stop outs, and again, just kind of a picture of what format I was trading. So again, this has become very helpful. I really like this software, Microsoft OneNote. And you're also able to have other notes. I have Andrew's training here. I have some notes that I took from his first book, and materials and things like that. And it also syncs up, as I mentioned earlier, with all your devices. So if I am out and I want to just pull up my phone, if I think of something in regards to trading, I can pull up my phone and get into one of these tabs and write down whatever I am thinking about. Or if I just want to go back and just reflect on something, see what went well, what didn't go well, or look at some charts. So that's very helpful for me. And also right here, when you click on the week, I can't do it now because it's a screenshot, but when you click on, let's say week 2, on week 2, I will have whatever improvements I want to make from the previous week. Then on the month one, I don't have it here, but on the monthly one, for the month of, this was January, for the month of February, I want to work on certain rules, certain goals that I want to improve going forward. So again, doesn't have to be like this. Just want to give you guys an idea of what you can do that can help you, because one of the challenges a lot of traders have is they have all this information and they don't have a system or process on how to go back and review it. So this is something that can possibly help you out, or you could take this idea and come up with a better one. So if you have something you want to share with us, please put it down on the comments. I would love to see how you're tracking your journal. So please put it down there. I'll make sure to respond to your comment, and we'll love to hear what you're doing. Thank you.